Okay, so I just got back in my car. I just saw Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. This movie is like a blacklight poster come to life. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Joe Finley, and it is currently 1:21 a.m. I just got back not too long ago from the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness screening. I had to write my review first because I was sent there by CGM. Thank you as always, CGM. I go on cgmagonline.com to read the written review. I will have the link in the notes later on. Right now, as I'm doing this, obviously the review is not up on CG Mag, nor is this uploaded, so can't do that just yet, but we'll get there, I promise. And rest assured, this is a spoiler-free video. You're not going to get anything out of me in this one. You can't torture me because you're just watching a screen. I don't know if you guys know how this works, but the first thing I say about this movie is it comes in hot. Like, it literally, like, you hit the ground running it right as you get into this one. The very most basic plot: Doctor Strange encounters America Chavez, a powered individual. Her powers very different in the movie than the comics, at least as far as I could surmise. But he encounters her. She's being pursued by these monsters that are seeking out her power, and then he seeks out the help of Wanda Maximoff to kind of help her out with all of these things that are multiverse. And the problem when I'm doing a spoiler-free version with this is there's so many twists and turns that I'm just not allowed to really talk about. I could theoretically, but I would be a real jerk if I did that. And I wouldn't be invited back to very many Disney screenings, would I? So I'm not going to do that. Plus, I just don't want to ruin the movie for you guys. I know there's people out there like, oh, tell me, do you see this guy? Is Tom Cruise in it? Is Iron Man? Is this guy here? Is that guy here? Was that the voice of that guy? Just watch the movie. Go see the movie. If you're interested, if any of that piqued your interest, it means they did their job. Go see the movie now. There will be a spoiler version of this after the movie has come out, but I won't have that conversation until you've actually had the opportunity to see the movie first. And I'm going to put big ass spoiler alert things all over it because I don't want people accidentally getting this information. So it's going to say spoiler all over the place. So I don't wreck it for the innocent. This one, safe. So we'll talk about who's back in this one. Benedict Cumberbatch is back as Doctor Strange, obviously. He is fantastic in this. We'll kind of get more into his performance in a little bit because it's relevant, but other people returning. Benedict Wong as Wong, fantastic in this one. He's been just a joy when he pops up in things. When he was in Shang-Chi, it was great. Any little place that he can show up is really good. He really gets a chance to be a little bit more of a badass in this one. He gets a little bit more like meat himself, and he deserves it because he's not just like a sidekick kind of character. He's like, he has something to offer. He has more to offer than any of the Eternals did. Rachel McAdams back as Dr. Christine Palmer. She's somebody who, every time I see her, I feel like I just hadn't seen her in a really long time, and I'm just like, why isn't she just in more stuff? It seems like if you look at her resume, it seems like she's in plenty of stuff. I don't think she's not working or anything like that, but I think that she's just not doing things that are so on the forefront of things that I'm seeing, or at least the big box office things. And I don't know, it just feels like she goes missing from time to time, and I don't know, I just find her to be a genuine joy beyond being an attractive person. I'm not even worried about that. She's Canadian too. You think I got a shot? And Elizabeth Olsen, while new to the Doctor Strange series, not new to the MCU, she's essentially doing like a sequel to WandaVision in this movie, like in its own way, and is fantastic in it. She's still going through a lot of the trauma and the emotions that she went through in WandaVision, and now you can see kind of where that's led. She gives a really fantastic performance in multiple different kind of aspects, and I think it's probably the biggest role in terms of range in the whole movie, so give it up for her for that. Then you also get Chiwetel Ejiofor back as Baron Mordo. Very good in it. He's Chiwetel Ejioforing all over the place, and he's fantastic. I want to see more from them. Again, without spoiling anything, I want to see more between the two. I would like to see like a real clash where they're the guys just on opposite sides for the entire thing. The first movie, you kind of get the beginning of that. This movie, you see them together, but again, I would like to see one where it's just Baron Mordo is just a straight up bad guy and Doctor Strange is a straight up good guy, and just have them clash however that goes forward. I expect that might be the case. Who knows? We never know with the MCU. Newcomer to the series, America Chavez, played by, I'm gonna butcher this name, Xochitl Gomez? So it's an X, so that's what throws everything off, but I think it's pronounced with a so I think it's Xochitl Gomez? Did I do good? She's good at it. I'm foreseeing a Young Avengers or one of those kind of things coming up because we do have a lot of young characters that have been brought in or are being brought in. So you have Ms. Marvel obviously coming, and then you have the America Chavez. To some extent, Yelena Belova is kind of a younger one too, as is Kate Bishop. Also all girl team too, so that might be a thing that's going. I don't really know. But I have noticed a lot more youth being brought in, and I don't know if it's for some kind of long-term thing. Could be because they just had some kind of retreat where they were planning out like the next decade of these movies, so very possible. But we gotta talk about the return of Sam Raimi in this role, and you feel Sam Raimi in every minute. There are so many decisions made that feel so much like the old Spider-Man movies. Like it feels so removed from the MCU, and not always in a bad way. Sometimes it feels a little too big of a swing, or more of just a swing and a miss, you know what I mean? But sometimes it hits perfectly. This is a very, I don't want to say campy, campy's not the word, but it is a more kind of cartoony version, which is saying something given like Dormammu and things like that from the original, but it feels a lot more kind of cartoony in that sense. But like literally the entire way, you just feel Sam Raimi's fingerprints all over this thing, from those kind of like big hero shots. You even see a couple of moments where Benedict Cumberbatch comes out of a window and has this kind of like it's just things that you didn't see in the first one that you just really kind of notice in this one. Also, you see the horror movie director in Sam Raimi a lot, in a lot of the aspects going on. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's things related to Multiverse, because Multiverse of Madness, I feel like I'm pretty safe in saying that. And then you get the campy Sam Raimi as well. There's some creatures in this thing. This isn't too much of a spoiler of anything, but there's some creatures in this thing that look like they're straight out of Army of Darkness. But with everything that's going on, really big performance. Like there's people in this movie who you've seen in other things and stuff like that who act bigger than I would argue they've ever acted before in their specific roles and things like that. And sometimes it puts a weird taste in your mouth. It feels like somebody else like playing the stage version of the same character or something like that. And you're kind of like, I don't know how to feel about that. But with all of that going on, and again, you kind of blame the multiverse for all of this and everything being a little different and stuff like that. This is hence me doing the hands. But Benedict Cumberbatch is so grounded as Doctor Strange. Like when everything around him is changing, Doctor Strange is staying the same. So you kind of always have that beacon of light or whatever, just something to kind of hold on to remember kind of where you're supposed to be. So much love to Benedict Cumberbatch for doing that, because that's hard when like literally everything around you is different, and then you kind of have to have it in your brain to be exactly the same. That's something. And speaking of different, Danny Elfman doing the themes and stuff for this, or doing the score, is so different than everybody we've heard in the past, because he goes all the way back to Spider-Man 2 and 3 as well. I think he scored Spider-Man 2 and then he produced the score for Spider-Man. I can't remember the exact layout of that, but he has such a specific sound and specific style. Like again, it's kind of like removing yourself from this dimension of the MCU completely, and then just being like, we're doing a completely different thing. It would be like just randomly making one of them a cartoon. But my biggest gripe with the movie is I don't know how I'm supposed to be looking at the movie, or I don't know what boxes I personally needed checked to make this kind of a great viewing experience. Like they're really trying to do a lot of things at once, and I think the MCU as a whole is kind of one solid story for the most part, and this didn't feel like that. There's no real connective tissue to the MCU. There's some stuff, like it's not completely devoid of that, but not enough to make it feel like it's kind of part of a series. But at the same time, so if I'm looking at it as a standalone movie, I like the movie a lot better, because it's kind of like when you pick up like one of those Marvel Zombies comic books, or like the Avengers Disassembled, that's kind of disconnected from everything else around it. It becomes its own little thing, like a little spin-off or something like that. And if that's how I'm viewing this movie, I like it a whole lot more, to be frank. It just sits better as a standalone movie than it does as kind of like the part of the MCU as a whole. But I mean, when it comes to movies like this too, you also have to think about all these other boxes that you're checking. Like when you have Sam Raimi involved and things like that, and when you've had all these other like multiverse things going on, especially with Spider-Man No Way Home, nostalgia plays a big role in all of this, is having people back that it's like, oh my god, I remember him, I love it, like a piece of my childhood just came back, hooray. But also just having Sam Raimi at the helm in the first place is kind of a part of that as well, right? So that's a big thing. Next part comes fan service, which kind of ties into the nostalgia, because right now it's the nostalgia that's kind of feeding the fan service in terms of people's expectations and wants of who they might see in this movie, given the fact that it's the multiverse. And I'll tell you, there are some fan theories out there that were correct. There are some fan theories out there that were incorrect. You'll see. You'll just see. But I think the bottom line is there's a lot of things to enjoy about this movie still, and I think that generally that's the most important part, right? So I'd say if you're an MCU completionist, you're going to go see this anyways. So again, this is kind of an irrelevant thing. I'm glad you're here. Don't get me wrong. Make sure to hit a like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. You were going to go see the movie anyways. We've talked about this with the Thor Love and Thunder trailer and stuff like that. People are going to see these movies. You're going to go. That's fine. If you're not necessarily, but you're somebody who maybe was feeling like, you know, they were a little sick of the whole superhero thing in general, it was getting a little stale, this might actually be a little bit of a refresher for you, because it is so different from everything else that's out there right now. That's it. We're going to keep this one short and sweet, and that's mainly because I have to edit this and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my take on that. You will see kind of the spoiler version later on in the week after the movie has come out. I'll put it out a day or two after the movie comes out, just to make sure that there's nobody that accidentally stumbles across it, you know, and gets things spoiled for them that they don't want. But that is it for this time, guys. Thank you all so much. If you did enjoy the video and the review, all that good stuff, make sure to hit like, make sure to hit subscribe, make sure to click the bell, all that kind of stuff. If you have not seen it already, I've pointed to this video from that video, but now I'm going to point to that video from this video, so it's kind of an inception. I also got to see the Avatar The Way of Water trailer, so just a really quick sneak peek at that. You can just find the video on my channel, because again, it's not uploaded yet, so I can't put the card here or put the card here or any of that stuff. So until next time, we'll see you next time. Bye.